Are you done?
Yeah, sorry. I have a family text message. There's a family text message happening that all of a sudden my mom reminded me of, and it's not even her side of the family. It's my dad's side of the family. And I love
that your mom keeps track of both sides of the family as if she's the central management system.
Welcome to Drunk Bitches Be Like. I'm Brandy.
I'm Mindy.
And this is all about two women, a few beers, some tipsy stories, and some drunk ideas.
Welcome.
I don't know, a month ago, my family has like this giant text chain with everybody, cousins, aunts, uncles, everything else. And they wanted to go have lunch. And I guess we scheduled it for next Saturday. And I didn't write anything down on my calendar because I don't think we actually had hard details involved. And now my mom, I called her this morning. We were talking on the phone. I was like, hey, so next weekend's Easter. So like, we make an Easter plan. She goes, well, you and your sister are going to go have lunch with the other side of the family on Saturday. And so she said that you're doing everything on Saturday. So I guess we're not having Easter. So I'm making other plans. And I was like, what?
Easter's on Sunday, not Saturday.
Well, I was like, well, I thought I just assumed we were coming over there for what, but apparently
you get your bunny basket if you don't go to your mom's.
Right. There's a whole bunny basket and everything else. And I don't know what's happening now, though, because I don't even know where I'm driving to on Saturday. Because the thing is, like, the family that decided to have lunch together, we have people like in northeastern Ohio, southwestern Ohio, Columbus, like BFE, Ohio. So I don't they're all like, hey, so I just started getting text messages today about it. And they're like, hey, can we have a late lunch like after 2 p.m.? And I'm like, sure.
That's dinner.
Where are we meeting? Like, where are we meeting in Ohio? Because depending on where it is, I have either a 4-hour drive or a 20-minute drive. So like what's happening?
Where's the thing? Where's the do?
I don't know.
I don't have to worry about Easter because we might go see my mom, but my husband's family doesn't celebrate Easter. Usually his birthday, it falls on Passover. So he's of the Jewish faith. And what sucks about your birthday falling on Passover is there's no cake. I imagine there's some other things that suck, but for me, it's the no cake rule.
Oh, is that a Passover thing? You're not allowed to have cake?
No leavened products.
Oh.
And cake is leavened.
Interesting.
And I can't make a cake out of matzah crackers.
Oh. You could do flourless cake. Does that...
it has to be, I guess, yeastless.
Oh.
So it can't rise.
Cheesecake?
He likes pie.
Okay.
So
Pie's good.
We normally do pie, but his birthday's already passed, so we didn't have to worry about that because Passover starts the weekend that we go out of town for our anniversary.
Yeah.
So we're just going to ignore Passover too.
Fantastic. So we missed a thing that we should probably do.
What's that?
So for everybody listening, hey, we got an extra person with us today.
Oh, hey, introduction should happen.
Yeah, we should probably introduce people. So my good friend Kat is here. So she's hanging out with us for the day, and so she's gonna be chatting for a little bit. And yeah, so. Kat, since we've already chatted about all this shit, what you have a huge thing on Easter. Like everybody comes to your house.
Yes, we do Easter every year.
Yeah.
We do the ham and then everybody brings stuff. So
like how many people does that turn out to be? Because
between, I would say 18 and 25 people,
that's
maybe
a lot of
sometimes
goddamn
more
people.
than that.
Yeah, it's a lot of goddamn
people.
people.
A lot of drama as well.
You got lots of peoples in your family.
Peoples. Yeah, it's mainly my husband's side of the family.
You like go sit outside. Do you have the space to like? Is everybody? I couldn't have 18 people in my house.
Yeah, I have a really unique house. So it's a ranch style home with a walkout basement.
Yeah.
So there's several spaces, and then there's a huge back patio, which has really good.
Oh, it's like my dream.
Like fun furniture on it. So people go out there a lot. I would say it's warm out.
And her back patio is on I want to say the first story, but like when you're in the back of the house, it's the second story,
right.
but like because it's ranch, but then it's walk out on the back. So the patio it's kind of cool because it's like a balcony.
Right.
And she's on a hill. So like, it's kind of cool because you get to like look over all the stuff like down the hill when you're out on it. It's nice. Yeah.
Nice.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And your kitchen's kind of like open concept thing in the dining room. So it's a little bit bigger of a space there just
throw rolls at people.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Like, this is what you want. Have it. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
No.
And then we have people that are gluten free and, so we have a whole separate. menu that we got to worry about.
We have to worry about that with we're going on vacation in June, and the family members that are going, a lot of them are gluten-free, a lot of them are dairy-free. And I was like, well, you know what? I will handle a lot of menu planning. So like I'm going to pre-cook some meats and we're going to pre-smoke some stuff before we drive down there so that we don't have to worry about cooking all the time, because I feel like when you're on vacation, you're going to cook for yourself. You spend all day cooking 3 meals. And I don't think that's like a cool thing. I'm half tempted to like scramble a shit ton of eggs and just bring those down in containers. But the whole, like, I want to appreciate everybody's tolerances.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to meal plan. Mm-hmm. I'm like, what do you, I don't know. I put milk in my eggs when I scramble them, and you cannot do that.
Yeah, it's difficult.
I don't
it's a story. My daughter is gluten-free, and her life has completely changed. It's like a great thing, but all of our dinners have to be gluten-free. During the day, we just kind of fend for ourselves.
Right.
You know, breakfast and lunch, but definitely dinner has to be gluten-free for her.
Oh, my goodness.
But her life is so much better.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I have some friends who are like, I'm gluten intolerant. I'm like, but is that like a feeling or is that like a thing? And then when you find out that your kid, like, legitimately, they're like,
so
you should not have
there's
this.
some differences. So my daughter has celiac, so her body doesn't make the cilia, and the gluten. She always had digestive issues and stomach issues, and then she didn't grow. I didn't know that was a thing. She wasn't really growing. All that was connected, because once we got her off gluten, the first thing she did was grow 2.5 inches.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then her skin cleared up. She had eczema, which is a huge sign of any kind of eating issue, like food issue.
Yeah.
Because they thought it could be dairy too. Thank goodness it's not. Those people that have to give up both, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Dairy and gluten.
I should give up dairy. I just haven't. I don't care that I'm allergic to it. I will just suffer the consequences.
Right. And intolerances, you could just get like really sick to your stomach. They're not quite as bad. I mean, they're still bad.
Right.
But they're not,
Yeah, no.
extreme.
I was in a class one time when I was going to work at the local hospital, and they were talking about these things, and I was very interested because they were saying, like, we have these meal prep things for people who have to go on like parenteral support, so like you're getting all of your food through an IV, and they were like, we have this, we have that, we have da 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 da, and then if that fails, then we can always like peg food or tube food, peg feed or tube feed these type of things. Like they're glycemic controlled, they're this, they're that. I was like, do you have anything that's not dairy? Because I was thinking that'd be great. If you're talking about stuff that you can pour in, is there a carton of something that I could have as a meal that is dairy free? And she went, no. Why would you need that? And I was like, because I'm allergic to dairy. And she looked at me and said, you're too old to be allergic to dairy. And I was like, no.
Some people develop it later.
So I didn't know that was a thing. I'm not what do you call it? I'm not lactose intolerant. I'm allergic to dairy. There's a protein in dairy that causes me to sound like I have produced all of the snot in the entire world, and it's in my face and in my chest. And it's worth it to me sometimes. Like if you want to have some really good cookies and cream ice cream, it's great. I'm going to sound like I have pneumonia for 3.5 hours afterwards.
As long as it goes away eventually.
But what sucks about like a dairy intolerance or a dairy allergy is that you don't know.
Yeah.
So I always call that my superpower, because we'll go out to eat and I'm like, I ordered something with nothing that had cheese on it or nothing that had milk in it in my view, and then I'm like, yeah, that's you put milk in that.
Yeah, Mia, my daughter, she knows right away. Her stomach it's 2 minutes. We know.
Yeah.
She'll push her plate away and look at us. We're like, oh, okay, that has gluten in it.
Run! I remember like it was like pizza, I think, because I went over to Kat's house and we were had like Pizza Hut or something like that. And I remember your daughter, she would like have a couple of bites of something and then she'd get a stomachache. And then she wouldn't eat anything. And it was like, she's so tiny and little. And it's like, she was just like,
And I was like, I was horrible. Too.
she was just horribly picky. And
I know.
like,
I was like, she always has stomach aches.
Yeah.
Like, like it was this big hassle. And now I'm like, I'm the worst parent because I had no idea.
But also, in all fairness, like, she also had other things all the time that were like, I mean, I feel like me and her shared strep throat once. And like, so she's always had
always
like,
spreads it to
she always
you.
has like other things. And plus, kids are like little germ factories. They go to school and come back with all of the shit.
Well, she got strep throat that one time and it was a stomach ache. It wasn't like your typical sore throat and fever. And so we had no idea. And we found out like a couple days later that it was strep. And then, of course, Brandy ends up with a stomach ache 2 days later. And I'm like, oh, you got it.
And I went to the doctor and I'm like, hey, and she was like, well, I was like, I think I have strep throat. And she looked at my throat and she goes, well, I mean, your throat's not inflamed or anything. And I said, I know. I was like, here's the thing. I've had a stomach ache. My friend's daughter got strep throat and she had a stomach ache. Her throat's just perfectly fine. And she said, well, we'll test you. She tested me and I had it. And I was like, yep. She goes, well, it's a new strain going around. And I'm like, yeah. If there's strep within a 500-mile radius of me, I'm going to catch it.
Yeah, I'm the same way. My oldest niece went to the doctor for something and they were like, have you had strep throat in the past? And they were like, yeah. And they were like, you've never gotten rid of it. And so I'm on her ass about like, did you ever finish an antibiotic in your entire life?
Oh my
She was like, no, when I feel better, I stop taking them.
Oh, no,
which is the opinion of every teenager. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, why do you not have an adult supervise? Oh, wait, I'm the adult supervising you. You're going to finish this if there is no other choice. So every time she goes on something, I'm like, and finish it.
Yeah.
She's like, what if I miss a dose? And I'm like, that's fine. Take the
Just
next one.
finish
Should I
it.
take twice of it? No. Who was the adult that's been supervised? There's not been an adult supervisory agency that's been involved in this. It's awesome. I'm here for you, honey. But yeah, I strep throat. I missed not most of high school. I missed probably 20 to 25 days a year of high school.
Yeah.
Each year
For strep throat.
Because I did all of my antibiotics. I had a mom who was like, you will take this or you will die.
Yeah.
And I was like, I believe you. I will take this or I will die. That was only really true when it came to the measles. But I would get strep throat 3 to 5 times a year.
Yeah.
I know when it's coming. I know what it sounds like. I know what it smells like because your breath smells horribly.
I forgot about that.
And I was like, this is going to happen. And they said, we could take your tonsils out, but you're too old.
What is the deal with people telling you you're too old to do stuff?
It's apparently incredibly painful to have your tonsils out as an adult. Like if you're a child, it's
but my
easy.
mom had them out in her 30s because I remember as a kid, like her being down for the count, she got her tonsils out.
My mom had her tonsils out when she was an adult, and it was horrific. Like apparently the pain is like off the charts.
Yeah.
You should probably talk to your mom about that. It's not good. So
I mean, I had my
kept
tonsils
mine.
out when I was 3.
Right. So I kept mine. I have my original tonsils.
Wow.
Tonsils have a secondary gland that can grow back. But I kept my tonsils. And so I would just 5 times a year would be out for 10 days at a time or 5 days at a time or whatever it was. And then I became allergic to penicillin because of it, because they treat strep with amoxicillin.
Yeah.
And 1 year, I was 22. I had strep throat. I was taking amoxicillin. I showed up to work because I'd been on antibiotics for 24 hours. And I was like scratching
Skin
my
rash.
chest and like scratching in between. And the guy that I worked for used to be a Navy corpsman, which is like a medic in the Navy. And he said, can you lift your arm up? I lifted my arm up and he said, is that the same thing? Do you have that anyplace else? And I like lifted my t-shirt up to look at my belly. And I was like, yeah, I literally have this all over my body. And he goes, you're allergic to penicillin.
Was it raised? Was it a raised?
No,
rash?
it looked like pinprick rash all over my body. Like as if every hair follicle had an inflammation around it. So, like you're covered in peach fuzz. I looked just like I had pinpricks all over my body.
Ow.
And I wanted to die. And my mom bless her heart, she was like, do not stop taking the antibiotic because you will continue to be sick. And she called the doctor's office. She was like, stop taking that antibiotic. She may die. And I'm like, thanks.
All right, great. Thanks, Mom. Thanks for the
Guess what?
advice.
I won't take penicillin anymore. But if you have kids that are like allergic to penicillin, it's the doctor's worst. If you're allergic to penicillin, it's your doctor's worst nightmare because they're like, here's what can cure it within 5 to 7 days.
Right.
But instead of that, we're going to do this for 25 days.
Yeah.
Have this thing that may or may not work.
Because you can't
Yeah,
take that.
Emmy's allergic to amoxicillin, but she only gets the rash on her legs, and it wasn't as severe as your case. That sounds terrible.
No, that's just my allergy reaction to anything. Like, that's how I found out I was allergic to Percocet. I went and took my bandages off after I had my boob job done. And I was like, why am I covered in a rash? Like, apparently somebody's allergic to Percocet. So I just switched to Tylenol. And
I've never gotten the rash thing. I get the swelling and itchiness. So I found out I was allergic to, it was called garamycin. It was an eye drop because I had pink eye when I was a kid. And I went to the doctor and they gave me, the eye drops, and I took them, and I'm in the car on the ride home, and we had to turn around before we got home and go back to the doctor because my entire face blew up like a giant red balloon. I literally looked like I had a balloon on my shoulders. And we get back there and they're like, oh shit, okay. And then they gave me a shot of penicillin in my ass. And so then, like, on the ride home, I'm like laying in the back seat on my stomach because I was like, I don't know.
yeah,
like
because penicillin is, in case you don't know, so I came from a medical background. Penicillin is like maple syrup.
Oh, it was very
if you have to
burning.
give it an injection, it takes, so you're sitting there as the technician just pushing slowly on the plunger because there's resistance from your tissue.
Yeah.
So it's not like we can be like, psh,
Yeah.
and push it in. You literally are just struggling and like kind of shaking sometimes because you just have to continue pushing in this hand lotion into your body.
Yeah.
And we're like, sorry, it burns like fuck.
Oh yeah. I mean, that was like the worst because like I remember distinctly laying on the back seat on my stomach with, my ass in the air and my head still like kind of puffy like a red balloon, and like I'm like, okay, so this is great. So I have pink eye, my face is burning and red, and my ass is now on fire. So cool. Yeah.
What was it that you were allergic to when you got your face bit by the dog?
Funny part. So I'm allergic to garamycin, right? That was the eye drops that I had. And like for the longest time, 10 years of my life, one of the doctors I went to, I told them what I was allergic to, and they were like, they didn't know what it was. And they were like, oh, it was probably
It's
the
a
sulfa.
tetracycline or a penicillin.
Well, they were like, it was probably the sulfa or whatever that was in it. And I'm like, I have no idea what sulfa is, but I put that on my shit because like this doctor didn't know what the fuck I was talking about and was like, oh no, you're allergic to sulfa. I'm like, okay, cool. So I went to the hospital. They gave me vancomycin, which apparently is this very strong antibiotic. But garamycin and vancomycin end with the same mycin, and apparently they're in the same family.
they share the same molecules. Yeah, which I feel like is like the tetracycline family.
Yeah. So, but then they gave me that.
I might be wrong.
It wasn't nearly as bad.
send
However,
hate letters
my
my
entire
way.
scalp was just on fire and itchy. And like I was watching my hand where like the IV was, and it was starting to get red and puffy. And I was like, it was like a 15-minute like IV injection thing. And like the nurse comes in, and I feel like we've talked about fucking Becky before on this
right.
podcast.
We talked about Becky.
Yeah, so this was Becky, the nurse that came in, and I was like, "Hey,"
Beckys are
thing, and
bad.
she was like,
Sorry,
"Oh no,
if
you're
you're
almost
a Becky
done."
and you're not this kind of Becky, we apologize. Just like we would apologize if you're a Karen, but not that
Right.
kind of Karen. But
Or
Becky's,
Linda.
Yeah.
Becky's suck.
Yeah, Becky's are like, it was like, "What the fuck, Becky?" And the next nurse that came in was like, "Wait." They went to go give it to me, and I was like, "Hey, just so you know, this happened last night, and like I only had 2 minutes left." So she was like, "You'll be fine," and just kept giving it to me. And like this nurse looked at me, and he was like, I'm sorry, what? And I told him what happened. He goes, okay, so we're not giving you that anymore. And I was like, okay, yeah, that'd be great. Because my scalp was real itchy, like just real itchy.
Here's some Benadryl. Get the fuck over it.
Can I get something else, please?
Oh my God.
I remember that so well. We brought the kids, they love Brandy, and they want to get her this unicorn doll
I still had
thing.
it. Cotton candy.
Yeah. Yeah, they named it Cotton Candy. And we went into the room, and Finn was like, is her face going to stay like that? Like, he was really upset about it. Yeah. I was like, no, they're going to fix her.
Your children are adorable too. Like they are little tiny cookie cutters of you, like in different
And Andy.
in different ways.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of your husband in those.
So because
The oldest.
Thank goodness they got his intelligence, which we would have been screwed because he's so smart. I mean,
you're smart.
My husband's an engineer.
Yeah, he's like super smart.
Like level million. Like
Being smart and being focused are two separate different things. You're smart.
I'm street smart. Here's a difference.
You're like I am.
I'm sassy. You know,
I'm smart. I just can't focus on shit.
right. But thank goodness they all got that from him, and they got my personality. So I'm like, yay! They're awesome. Finn is off the hook, hilarious.
I met all of them this year at Halloween, and they were like, okay, new human.
Yeah,
we're friends. And I was like, I'm weird with kids.
No, you're
because
fine.
I'm like, how do I talk to children? Do you talk to them as adults? Like, do you talk to all of them as
pretty
adults?
much.
And then some parents are like, they're not that old. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Where's the cutoff between talking to them? Like I didn't have a sex talk with them. I was just like,
no. So
at what point do you like break a like when do you break the Easter bunny barrier?
So, okay, I can tell you that in a second. Let me circle back to that. But I was going to tell you about the adult talk. I've always talked to my kids like adults, and my friends would be like, "They don't know that word. Why would you say that?" I'm like, "Well, if you don't introduce the word, then." And a lot of times they would be like, "What does that mean?" And I'd look it up and give them the definition if I didn't know it. But I've never done the baby talk. I had a friend, God bless her. I'm not going to say her name, in Columbus, that probably still talks to her kids that are the same age as mine, 14, 12, and 8, like babies. And it drives me nuts because it almost feels like infuriating. Like it would drive me nuts if somebody talked to me like that.
To me, it's always been very demeaning. Like children are smarter than you think they are.
Right.
Like, why would you talk to an adult like that?
Yeah.
Right. And
Did you get your cookies?
She kind of would talk to me like that. Her name is Brandy, actually. That's her name.
Oh, okay.
And I adore her. 100% adore her. But I would be like, Brandy, don't talk to me like a baby. Like, it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
And then she'd be like, oh, I'm sorry. And she just had this way about her. But she's one of those people that was meant to have kids. She's just a really good mom. She does like crafts. She cooks with them. I'm like, nah, I'm not cooking with you and I'm not doing crafts, but I'm going to teach you about life skills. So let's talk about boyfriends. You know what I mean? But okay, back to like Santa, Easter, all that Easter bunny stuff. So it kind of happens organically because kids at school start talking. And we had a girl when my daughter was in 4th grade, my oldest, that her name is also Emmy, and her mom told her the truth.
Yeah.
And so she went to school the next day and told everybody.
These little shitheads are instructed specifically to not share this information with other children. If your child figures it out, I think that, like, I got the talk. Most parents are like, do not share this information with everybody else.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I love her mom. So I know she said that, but I called her the next day and I was like, damn it. Because we weren't ready. We were thinking maybe junior high. Well, Emmy was the only one in her class that stuck to Santa's real, Easter Bunny's real, at school. And so 4th and 5th grade went by, and we just kept the illusion going. And then 6th grade hit, and she said to us at Christmas, if you guys are lying to me, I will never forgive you. So we were like,
the drama.
Yeah.
The drama.
I know. She's very dramatic. So then Andy and I had a big talk, and we decided to tell her in the summer, not during the season.
Yeah.
So we went through the season. And we took her out to dinner. I do not suggest this, by the way.
No, take them to a public place where they won't make a scene.
Right. And so,
it's like breaking up.
I mean, in retrospect, yes. But so we told her the truth, as we kind of were like, look, you wanted to know, and but there's still the Christmas spirit, and you still have younger siblings. Like, don't ruin it for them, and la 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 la. And she sat there and was quiet for a while, and Emmy, she's not quiet. Yeah. And so we were like, what's and then finally she was like, you just ruined my life. I'm like, you wanted the truth. Like,
don't feel bad as a parent, because my oldest niece, she lives with my mom now. She's like 20. She's going to be 21. It's adorable. I'm going to take her out and maybe get her trashed and then deliver her back to my mother.
Right.
So my mom can relive my 20s. Like, here's a drunk child. Take care of it. She was, her siblings were very young. I want to say she was 5, 6, or 7. I would not have gone that direction, but she was very young, and her parents sat her down and they were like, here's the thing, you've been asking questions, and Santa Claus, here's the deal about Santa Claus. Honestly, if you're listening to this podcast with your children, you're a horrible parent. So let's just talk about it. So Santa Claus isn't real. and we need you to know that, like, Christmas spirit, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Here's what we've been doing. It's mommy and daddy, which as a non-parent, I'm like, quit telling your kids that, like, PlayStations came from Santa, socks came from Santa, underwear came from
We
Santa.
actually did uniquely. We would do one gift from Santa every year because we were like, he's
Awesome.
busy, dude. You
Yeah.
know, like, so
Awesome.
And it was always something
Because there are other
kind of-
kids that think that, like, why didn't I get a PlayStation from Santa? And I'm
Right.
like, oh, because PlayStation.
valid.
I
Santa shipping
actually,
socks.
so last year I think was the first year, because I don't have kids, but that was the first year, like, you know, Facebook and social media, you hear a lot of stuff. And I saw a bunch of posts about, like, make sure Santa's only giving like this and something normal, because, like, there's kids that are less fortunate and see their friends getting these big gifts from
Never
Santa.
thought about it when I was a kid.
Right. I never thought about it either, but, like, it totally makes sense that, like, yeah, Santa's gifts should be like the simple gifts and the, like, the everyday things that you get. Like, yes, you need new socks and stuff, so
And
Santa got you
toothbrush and
socks and a
this,
tooth. You know what I mean? But
Yeah, give Santa a break, everybody. You know what I mean?
the fancier gifts should be
a lot
for
of
the
pressure.
parents, because those are, like, that's relying on your.
I never thought about other kids
money.
who were like, Santa didn't bring me a PlayStation. I was like, and then I was like, I'm gonna cry.
And then you're like,
because
were
my
you
medications
good?
are
No,
kind of, yeah, my medications are kind of off 90% of the time. So I'm like, but so they told her, and she goes, great. I guess the next thing you're going to tell me is that the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny aren't real. Is that what's going to happen in my life? And we all were just like,
Oh no, I believed in the
we're
Tooth
not
Fairy.
going to fucking tell you that at all.
The Tooth Fairy
scary.
existed until I was done with all my baby teeth, whether or not I actually believed in it. Because if I didn't believe it, then I wasn't going to get the money,
Right.
and I wanted my money because my mom.
Oh, that's how I felt about Santa. I learned about Santa at
Yeah.
a very young age, and I broke it to my parents when I was 10. I know that you're Santa. And they were like, why didn't you say something sooner? Like, how long have you known? I'm like 3 years. They're like, why didn't you tell us? And I was like, because
You
Santa
look like
brings
you're having
extra
fun.
gifts.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're going to get them anyways. So it's hard with the Tooth Fairy at our house because the girls have lofts. So how do you get up there, you know?
Oh, I had a pillow. I had a Tooth
So
Fairy
we have
pillow.
a pillow for
Yeah.
both of them, and so
Had
it's
a
funny 'cause
pocket.
It's when you have children, multiple children, everybody, okay, you get worse and worse at Tooth Fairy, okay, and then you're not only worse at it, but you're like giving
Wait a minute,
20
isn't that
bucks
like-
to like the youngest.
isn't that like the baby book equivalent where you're like, first baby has like every goddamn
but
thing
it's
they've ever
opposite.
done. Second baby, you're like,
One picture.
we took a picture of you when you were 3.
Third, we're like, are you here? Oh yeah, there you are. Fourth is
Does
like
your sister have you?
fourth is selling stuff
Okay,
on the street.
so here's the thing on the money with the Tooth Fairy. So I feel like my mom did it right in this aspect because we didn't get a ton of money.
I got $1 for every tooth.
It wasn't dollars though. That's the thing. My mom had a collection of $50,
Oh,
like
that's
those
fun.
big silver $50.
Yeah.
And so since you don't see those, like, you know, in the money world,
you got like a
out,
markdown. You should have gotten a silver.
Well-
No, silver dollar, not silver $50.
right? But that's the thing. So like, whenever I had the Tooth Fairy come, I got like this really cool coin that like nobody saw before, and it didn't matter to me that it was only worth 50 cents or $1 because I think I did get some silver dollars too. But it was like this really special thing that like nobody else had because it was like the Tooth Fairy got those for me, and that was all, you know. So she didn't spend a ton of money, but at the same time it felt more special because then it was like, oh well, I got this really cool thing, and I still to this day have a little tiny jewelry box full of all of my $50 and stuff that I got from the Tooth Fairy.
that is fantastic.
So I'm like,
I wish I would have thought of that.
So I mean, that's the thing. So I feel like
Everybody should talk to your mother.
Well, that's
and
the
get
thing.
advice about
Well,
stuff.
so I asked my mom because
but I could see where inflation would go up, and it's like now you're like
now
handing
because
over
you're like, oh,
yeah.
we don't have change for this 20, so
Right.
the youngest gets like the 20, and
Right.
he's like, I only got 50 cents. We're like,
sorry.
inflation.
I know.
Here's
Things
what
cost
you
more
need
now.
to learn about inflation.
Yeah.
No, my parents. So I found at some point, my mom had this little pink jewelry box that she had from when she was a kid, and I found it because, you know, as kids you're nosy. I'm not sure how you guys were, but like I was a latchkey kid.
So you were
neither of you are Gen X, so this didn't
I'm
happen.
Gen X.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Okay, so I got left by myself a lot, so I would just go through shit in the house, and I'm like, "What's in the closet?" So I would go through the closet, and I found this little pink box.
Before social media.
My parents were very strict. There were things I knew I did not want to do, otherwise I would get in trouble very
I
much.
know, I didn't give a shit. So I found this little pink jewelry box, and in one of the things was your bunch of tiny teeth.
Oh, was it all your teeth?
It was all my baby teeth.
Oh.
And
My
then
mom
once I
kept
knew
all
that,
mine
my mom
too.
just kept keeping them on there was this little bowl that was on I don't know if your mom had, I don't know if your family had this, but there was a shelf in our kitchen that had like little knickknacks on it.
Yeah.
And one of them was this tiny silver bowl.
Yeah.
That my teeth were in.
That's hilarious.
Like, you're creepy as shit that you're keeping my teeth. And my mom couldn't throw them away.
Oh,
And oddly enough, that sensation went through me when we got our first puppy and I started finding her teeth everywhere. And I have a little tiny jar of Stormy's teeth. Nobody else's, just Stormy's. First kid thing. Even if it's a dog, it's a real thing.
I mean, at least you got a nice little jar. Mine were in a Ziploc baggie.
We don't keep the teeth for some reason.
I'm pretty sure we finally threw them out. We were going through. We were in my
for
mom's
DNA, you might.
Yeah, we were in my mom's basement going through like old boxes and stuff. She was trying to condense and like give us all our shit from when we were kids.
Oh, yeah.
And so I got a whole box of like, you know, yearbooks and all that other crap that she was holding on to forever. And we found the baggie of the baby teeth.
Were they even each of you, or were they all together?
No, they were labeled Brooke and Brandy. So like, you know, we had
your own bag.
We each had our own little Ziploc baggie. But I'm like, and I think she kept them in her jewelry box. And I'm like, okay, can we just get rid of those now? Because there's probably bacteria and all kinds. I don't even know what's on those. All I know
There's
is
like gum.
all I know is there was one tooth I lost on the playground in second grade. And man, I got in so much trouble for not bringing the tooth home. But then I like understood as an adult. And I was like, it's because you were keeping all those fuckers, and that is gross.
Yeah, you're like the. Did you guys ever watch the show Bones?
Yes.
No,
The
I
guy,
haven't.
the Gorgon, the Gorga, whatever the hell, the one really
David Boreanaz?
one really sweet technician that was like taking teeth to the serial killer that he was like.
Yeah. I remember what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, the
Bones is one of those sci-fi like Law and Order kind of
sci-fi.
thing.
Yeah.
It's not
Just like,
sci-fi, but like
she's a bone
expert.
She's an anthropologist. So
That's cool.
like,
so she goes to crime scenes. She teams up with the FBI.
Here's
to
a
solve
body
crimes.
that's 25
Yeah.
years old. What can you tell us about it?
Right.
And they go find
That's
these things.
cool. I
So
need
it's
to
kind of like
watching
an
that.
NCIS
She
show
had
or
this,
something.
sorry,
Yeah.
spoiler alert. She if you haven't fucking watched it,
Yeah.
then you don't deserve a
It's
spoiler
like 10
alert.
years old now.
So at some point, she has this technician that works with her that you find out is like taking teeth to this because they're
Cannibal.
finding out that these bodies have like these weird teeth marks and they can't really match them up to dental things.
yeah.
And it's because he's taking teeth from decedents to him to put in his mouth or like his
He made dentures out of dead people's different teeth, so like there was no dental record
and
thing.
he's like he's not the Gormagon. That's the Underworld. That's Stranger Things. But still, he's some name with a G, and you're like, oh, but I love
it was one of the creepier
Zach or
storylines,
whatever his name
in
was.
Bose,
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
love Zach. I think his name was Zach.
Yeah, I
forget.
forget his name, but yeah, he was like a beloved character that all of a sudden turned into like this like assistant to a
But the
serial
whole
killer.
thing was like how you could fall into a cult very easily, and I
Right.
was like, timely.
Yeah.
I mean, it was ahead of its time. But still.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I have a friend who like literally didn't realize she was in a cult.
Really?
Yeah, and she was like, yeah, we would be in the fields, working all day and then have to like read Bible verses and wear dress. I'm like, okay, long dresses? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like creepy. And she like lived with this family and she basically, her too.
So my brain goes to either cult or Amish.
right.
Same
Well,
thing.
I think Amish is a bit, I'm from Cleveland.
Yeah.
And you are from
Yeah,
Northwest Ohio.
I'm anti-Amish. That sounds like a horrible thing, but I know how they treat their farm animals, and they are also one of the in this area, like in Ohio, Indiana, Michigan. They are one of the largest purveyors of puppy mills.
Really?
Yes,
And also
they
the
will so
sexual
that they
abuse.
can't get incest, so that they can't get caught being puppy mill owners. They will debark dogs in the most horrific way.
Oh my God.
And so I'm like, my mom is like, do you want to go to Amish country and buy furniture? And I was like, fuck the Amish.
I love their cheese so much
Fuck
though.
them. You can get their cheese from Eula Springs. It'll be fine.
That's true. Actually, Germantown, they have a nice little grocery store down there that sells there's a little grocery store in Germantown, like right when you go in.
Okay.
And I love butter cheese.
Yeah, so good.
They sell butter cheese there. So they have like some Amish cheeses there.
Amazing.
Cheese.
Love
Maybe we
cheese.
should get some cheese real quick.
I mean, one of the things that we wanted to talk about while we have Kat here is so she's had some health issues lately that we wanted to talk about, and just the experience and things she's going through, and kind of like let people know that this is a thing, and maybe it's something you should look into and whatnot, especially as we're getting older.
Right. It can
Yeah.
affect you. It can affect your loved ones. You should probably be aware. And that's why we are having Kat on, because
Yeah.
there was a there's a difference between an awareness of what is happening and an acceptance of what is happening. And I feel like that's where you joined into the conversation of your own life, which was, I know what's happening, but can I accept what's happening?
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So my life changed in January.
Yeah.
Oh, God, if I cry, I'm sorry, everybody.
It's fine. Everybody cries. I don't have any tissues for you, so you're just going to have to use your t-shirt.
I got a sleeve.
Yeah, right. So I found out I have melanoma. I have skin cancer. So we'll just start with that because I feel like that's a little bit easier to go into that.
Yeah.
And like most people, I feel like think I thought that skin cancer is the easiest of cancers. People have said that to me, by the way.
Well, and I saw the spot that you had, and to be honest, it was very small.
Yeah, it was a dime-sized freckle on my back.
On your back.
That wasn't raised. It was black in color.
Yeah.
So that's important to know. Color comes into play here because there's 3 different types of skin cancers.
You should look up the ABCs of it, and I did not look that up before I said, but like color, shape, there's like an entire, there's actually an ABC. A stands for something, B, so we should probably be
And so if you look at if you look at melanoma, it's usually like spread out. Mine wasn't. It was just a freckle. And
it's the abnormal shape of it that people normally
right. It was like round. The doctors were quote unquote keeping an eye on it. So my primary caregiver, was keeping an eye on it. And then COVID hit, of course, and the pandemic. I got COVID, we think, at least 3 times. The first time we don't really know because there were no tests.
It was like very early in the
But I had lost
pandemic,
my smell and taste. And then the second time was definitely because my boss had it. And then the third time was like at the end of this year, December or last year. Sorry,
with the Omicron variant.
I just want to throw in here because we talked about it. So when you were talking about what you found, if you are looking for something on your body, first of all, go to your dermatologist.
Absolutely.
Have a body examination once a year.
Absolutely.
What you're looking for, if somebody is looking at your shit, which is asymmetry. Moles are not asymmetric. Moles are round or they are oval, but they are not like cut out like the continent. Borders, the outer edges are uneven. Color, dark. So moles aren't multicolored. So
correct.
If you have a dark or black or multicolored mole, you should have that looked at. Diameter, anything greater than 6 millimeters, which is under a centimeter, if I know my math. And evolving, the change in size and shape and color. So if it is evolving on your body, I've had a mole on the side of my face, which has not changed no matter how much they've cut it off, and I don't want it. The mole has not changed. It is not skin cancer. It's just a fucking mole. So
and what do you have to lose?
Experiencing some things.
Yeah. What do you have to lose to go get your skin checked? And also, our skin is our largest organ, right? So it is so important to get that looked at. And as a mom, I just was like the last person on my list. You know, my kids, my husband, thinking about them. So let's start. So summertime, I'm at the pool in Miamisburg, and are we allowed to say that?
Yes.
Okay. And I was sitting on the edge of the pool with my feet in, watching my kids swim, and this woman sat down next to me, and I was like, "Hello," and she's just staring at me.
Right,
and
you
she's
in my
like,
bubble.
She's like, "So I work for a dermatologist," and I was like, "Here we go," because people have told me this in the past. She's like, "You gotta get that thing checked on your back," and I was like, "Okay," and she's like, "No, like you really need to get that checked." And so I was like, fine, whatever, bye. You know, like it was kind of annoying, you know, but she left, and I kept thinking about that. And then I got a new job and life happens, right? And September timeframe, I was getting out of the shower, and my 8-year-old son has no boundaries sometimes. So he walks in the room. I'm like, I'm literally changing. What are you doing? And he's like, ew, that thing on your back got big. That was the moment. And I took my mirror and I looked up, and I was like, oh yeah, I got to get that looked at.
Yeah.
So I scheduled the appointment, and this is the hard part of the pandemic. I couldn't get in until the end of January. This is September.
Yeah.
Okay, end of January. So then the only other people ask me this all the time, what were the signs? So I had COVID several times. That means my immune system was out of whack.
Yeah.
I had an ear infection that wouldn't go away, things like that. Beginning of December, my breathing started getting really bad. That's the only, and they can't really tell me what that is right now, but it's got to be related. I mean, I'm no doctor, but.
Well, and they did say that you have like an additional, so spoiler alert, it spread. And so she's got like, you know, other things throughout your body now. That's because you're stage 4.
I'm stage 4. So that's the other thing. You
have like a tumor, I think it is, like underneath your left like breast
right on
tissue,
my
like right there. Yeah. So it's like,
and all of my tumors.
Cat's got big boobies, so it's hard to find.
She does, you know. But that
Trust
could
me, that's
also
not
be
a compliment. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is I wake up at the beginning of January. Remember, I had COVID the week before. Okay. And it really wasn't a big deal. COVID was like a cold this time,
Yeah.
And I wake up and I was like, why is my bed wet? Like, I knew something was wrong. And then I'm like, Alexa, turn the lights on, and then my hand was all bloody. And I'm like, what in the heck? And this is the other sign. So it started ulcerating and bleeding.
Yeah.
And once I figured that out, then I was like, oh crap. So I tried to call that dermatologist again early. They wouldn't take me. So I literally Googled dermatologists near me. And the first place that picked up that actually did an appointment the next day, that's where I went. So I went to Advanced Dermatology on Kings Ridge, by the way.
Oh, that's where my appointment is next.
Oh, good. Yeah. Yes. And I went in and he did he was like, oh yeah, that's not good. And he scooped it out like as much as he could get. And I left and didn't think anything of it. Again, it's just skin cancer, right?
Yeah.
Right.
It's the easiest of cancers.
And they scooped it out, so it's all gone now, right?
And then the next week I get a phone call and I'm working from home that day and I see that it's him. So I got off the queue because I work for a Medicare company. And I answered and he was like, hey, you have melanoma. And it was like, oh, okay. So like, can you just surgically take that off?
Take it
no,
all
like
out?
literally, this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, no, you need to come in because this is more serious than.
Yeah.
Then I was like, crap, So my husband came home from work and went in and they told me that time they thought it was stage 3. But in skin cancer world, you have what's called levels, level 1 through 5. And that means the depth it goes down into your skin.
Yeah.
And I was a level 4 out of 5 at that time.
Okay.
And so what that meant, since it was in the center of my back and close to my spine, that it had gone down deep, you know? So he's talking to us. I'm still thinking I'm in the office. I'm like, just cut it out. What is the problem here?
I hate to interrupt you, but people need to realize like where it was is above where your bra would be.
Yep.
Yeah. Right in the middle of her back.
Very, very shallowly where, like not
close to-
shallowly.
yeah.
It is very close to where your bra would be, but above it. And you have to imagine how thin your skin is
In that area.
Right there, yeah.
And it is not like you're not talking about like melanoma on your thigh where you've got like, say if I got melanoma on my ass, there'd be like 22 layers of it was just
Well, that's why I was like, why couldn't it have been the front of me? I'm like, come on.
There is no thickness at your there's no thickness at your back.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so he's talking to me. And when he said this, the one phrase that really made me realize, oh crap, was when he said, when it went down, it spread out like a hand. And then I was like, wait, what? And he was
So
like,
you're talking about having something the size of like
a dime
that has then expanded like a plant, roots. It has set up roots.
Yeah.
And then he goes, so I suggest you going to this surgical oncologist. Then that word comes out. And I'm like, wait, whoa. Oncologist? All right, like, am I dying? And he was like, this is serious. And then, I freaked out.
As would anybody.
Yeah. And then we went to the oncologist and he's like, okay, well, so we're going to remove the spot. And they did this dye procedure right before the surgery. And the dye, wherever the dye goes first, which it went to my armpits and the lymph nodes there first.
Yeah.
They take those out just to biopsy. So we didn't really know if it spread yet. And they took, you guys, out of my back, a small football.
Yeah.
Think of a skinny, small
Like
football.
Like a little Nerf football, yeah.
I have a 10-inch scar on my back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how
That's
much
not
they
small.
took. It's not small, is what I'm trying to
2
say.
inches
So a
less
little
than a foot.
dime-sized freckle did that.
She's got the laces like all the way down her
all the way down my
spine,
back.
on the
It's not a corset.
No.
Yeah, not a corset or a zipper.
Yeah.
So anyways, and then they took my lymph nodes. They took 8, I think, total.
Yeah.
It was like 4 on each side. And I have 4-inch scars there. And, I'm still thinking I'm stage 3, which is a 60% cure rate.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to go. And then I go in to meet the actual oncologists that are going to be treating me because I'm thinking preventative. They're going to do preventative chemo or something.
Yeah,
like,
they took everything out now, right?
We're good.
Yeah.
Then I get my biopsy results. And of course, it comes up on your phone now on your MyChart.
Oh, yeah.
Before you talk to a professional.
Yeah.
Don't blame the doctor's office. Here's the
I
thing.
do not. I 100% do not. And I feel bad for them.
I'm going to jump in here as somebody who is in this space.
Yeah.
I've told my company I would not talk about this, but I'm going to talk specifically about them. When you are in this space, there is now a legal obligation for her doctor's office wasn't like rude or insensitive.
Not at all.
There is a legal thing now where if you are a laboratory company, if you're a physician's company, you must make the patient's information available on demand.
Yeah.
And that means that if you are getting lab results, there is no 48-hour hold. There's like one state. There's no 48-hour hold. It's just that I've experienced this in a different way, not to the level that you have, but like I get the results when you, the doctor, get the results, and then I have to interpret them by myself, waiting for you to fucking call me.
Yeah.
Because what I see is I have a medical background, so it makes me a little more solid about what I'm reading, but like literally you get a result and nobody has prepared you to receive it. You just get an email that says you have
your results on your My Chart.
Yep.
Check into My Chart.
And of course, I told the doctor, I swore him up and down that I was going to have him call me.
Yeah.
Well, he has all his surgeries on Tuesday. I got it Tuesday.
Yeah.
So he's busy all day. So I called to talk to he's got a medical assistant.
Right.
And she was busy. So then, of course, I had to look at it. And the first page was like, it's a 5-page document. First page was like negative, negative, negative. I'm like, yay. Second page, positive, positive, positive. So I had at least 3 tumors that they were aware of that were positive in my lymph nodes. Well, that's the next step. So that took me to a stage 3C is what they call that. So when I met with the oncologist, before we did a PET scan. Okay. And that gives you a little bit more.
Yeah.
PET scan is a head to toe. Like, do they give you a dye or?
No, they actually gave me radiation.
Okay.
Like
So
right into my body.
They give you a they inject you with radioactive dye.
Right. Dye. Yeah.
Which then they look for things to flame up to. I'm going to just jump in here. I've had a gentleman that has had prostate cancer before who was part of our medical facility, and they took him to a PET scan. Sorry. Thank you. They took him to a PET scan, and they were like, here's the things that lit up. And there are things that they call a Christmas tree.
Correct. So, but because I just had surgery, my body was in those areas where I had surgery. So my back, of course, was lit up. My armpits were lit up. And then and literally she went over the PET scan results. I had it done on a Thursday. Monday morning, we're in her office. Her name is Dr. Jeffries. By the way, she's amazing.
Fine.
Yeah. So she is going through, and it was kind of cool because it goes from your head, like you're a vessel, like you're hollow, you can see your brain. And I was like, all like, oh, look at that. This is cool. And you can see where this
Except you were hoping to not see anything light up.
Well, I'm still thinking, okay, 60% survival. So I'm like, I'm a stage 3, dude. This is like walk in the park.
Right.
And then she goes, oh. And that's when everything changed. She said, and this is like beginning of February. She said, oh, there's a spot on your chest cavity. There's another one on your side. There's another one over here. And then they couldn't my groin had lit up, but who knows why that was. So they weren't sure yet on that. And then she's like, okay, and then we'll have to do an MRI to make sure it didn't go to your brain. I'm like, wait, whoa. And she's like, oh yeah, you're a stage 4. Now, stage 4 is a 14% survival rate. Very different. Mm-hmm. Okay, so that leads into my whole PSA here, everybody. Get your skin checked. Yeah. Wear sunscreen, shirts, hats. I don't care. Look like a crazy person. I do not care. Check your skin and get early detection. Okay, get early detection.
Yeah.
Because that's key. Stage 1, 99% cure rate. Stage 2, 85% cure rate. Stage 3, 60%. Still great odds.
Yeah.
Where I'm at right now, I'm in what's palliative care. Okay, I'm not in curative care.
Yeah.
I know this is hard for Brandy.
Well, you're never going to be able to get rid of it.
I'm never going to get rid of it. Now, I could live a long time with this, like people do with leukemia.
That doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to survive this for a very long time. But the problem is that they can't go in at this point in time because of the way that the cancer has kind of taken over your body. They can't go in and just cut it all out. You will forever have
all
this
of my tumors are inoperable. The ones that I currently have, the goal is to stop the growth. So they do what's called immunotherapy, which is a type of chemotherapy.
But because there's only there's a type of treatment, but there's not like, sorry.
No, you're okay. You're okay. I know it's hard. I mean, it's I'm dealing with this every day. So like it's easier for me.
It's PTSD for me because of my dad.
Oh,
so there are only, no, don't apologize. Jesus Christ. That's my only personal shit. There are only so many
approaches that they can take.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Chemotherapy
And with
doesn't
melanoma.
work. Yeah.
So my dad had multiple myeloma. There are several approaches they could take. There's a goal. Every cancer has a goal.
Right.
To reduce this thing that's happening.
Right.
You are experiencing something that is, there's a therapy.
Right. There is there is
horrible.
the one that
A therapy. For
the
this.
one that has the most effective rate, okay, efficacy or whatever you want to call it,
Efficacy.
is the immunotherapy. Right now, I'm doing 12 weeks on this 2 drugs, so it's a bit. It's not terrible. Okay,
intense,
It's
though.
intense, and so I got to make it through these 12 weeks, and then they'll reassess if the tumors have grown. We don't really know. I've also seen some melanoma patients that did chemo along with immunotherapy, so they might go down that route. But I do know that my tumors they're all inoperable. They cannot remove them.
Yeah.
Now, if it goes to my brain, because that's where melanoma likes to go, apparently, they will remove those.
Right.
Yeah.
For longevity.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's the goal right now for me. But also, I don't want all this like sympathy. And all. I really want everybody that's listening to this, just get your skin checked, please. Please don't go through this. It's
It's
awful.
amazing how something that was so small and seemed very insignificant, in honestly less than a year. Because this was like last July, and then January is when it kind of all exploded and everything happened.
Well,
Right.
So like 6 months, and this went from like seeming like nothing to all of a sudden like
It was
world
something.
changing.
Yeah.
You're of an age category too where you live.
I'm 48.
But no, you live between where Brandy and I are.
Yeah.
Which is actually, you and I are in the same generation, which was the baby oil generation. The
Oh,
fucking
yeah. We didn't wear
Crisco
sunscreen.
Generation.
No.
Like
Yeah.
our parents told us how to get tanner.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom had me in tanning bed. She didn't have me. She allowed.
I used to go to tanning beds before
I
like,
did.
dances
I
and
was
stuff in high
12.
school.
I was 12 when I
Yeah,
was
you
in
were.
tanning beds.
Weren't you like a beauty pageant?
Do you guys remember Gloria Marshall?
You're like, I don't want to talk about that.
There was like a gym system called Gloria Marshall's, and my mom would go to it, and they had a tanning bed. So I was to not make me bored. Mom would let me go to a tanning bed.
I remember
And
friends
they're
that had like
perfectly
moms
safe.
had like tanning beds in their basements.
Oh, I know. I remember that.
What we thought we were being told is they're perfectly safe, regardless of the tanning beds. If you have had a significant burn history, I am fair skinned. You can look at my arms and my chest and they will look tan. I can tell you that they are not tan. They are sun damaged.
Correct.
I am not tan.
Yeah.
I am
They say
sun damaged.
any sunburn, like serious sunburn, puts you at risk for skin cancer. Now, there's 3 different types, everybody. There's, I never say this right, squamous. Thank you. And
cell.
that one, that is also a deadly one. Melanoma is the rarest, which I find interesting.
So usually
and then
the first mole that you get cut off, I've gone through both of these, and we have family who've gone through both of these. The first mole that you normally look at that's like clear and high and raised and bothersome, they will say it's they'll take a look at it and they'll be like, it's 95% of the time, if it's annoying the fuck out of you, it's I have some on my chest. They're like a squamous cell,
Correct.
which has like we've cut it out.
And they're kind of lighter in color, too.
Right. They're
Yeah.
they're
like
usually
pink
skin.
sometimes.
They're usually skin toned.
Right.
They're usually skin toned moles. The second kind is a raised mole that is symmetrical, but darker in tone. And it's not a freckle. And they will take a look at it, and there is a high chance that it will be basal cell carcinoma. Basal cell carcinoma may also present as a flaky red or pink section on your body. So what you don't know is it's either keratoses or it is a basal cell carcinoma. Both of those are precancerous. They're cancerous, but they are precancerous. Let's just keep an eye on it. We cut it out early.
Right.
Where you have come in is melanoma, which is a deep penetrating cancer.
Correct.
Which
again, everybody, I just thought skin cancer was like
your
easy.
squamous. It's not like your squamous cell or your basal cell cancer turned into that. You could just have grown it.
Right.
Well, so the one thing that I learned, because skin cancer, like I knew it could get bad, but like I didn't realize. So like in my mind, it stayed on your skin. And the thing that I think I've learned from this entire experience is that it actually goes down and gets
But
into
your skin is to your muscle.
Yeah, it gets into your muscle, it gets into, and then it can spread literally over your entire body from like one little spot on your skin.
What you and I have talked about, and I'm so sorry, we're talking about Kat like she's not here.
No, you're fine.
I want to involve you in the conversation.
It's fine.
Is that you and I have talked about, because I have experience with cancer patients, which is, I don't care whether you get breast cancer or testicular cancer or brain cancer, or it doesn't matter where your cancer originates. Cancer has cells. They have a characteristic. They have a genetic DNA to where if you get breast cancer and they say it has metastasized, that means that there are breast cancer cells that have grown into your brain. They've grown into some other part of your body. They're not contained to your breast.
Yeah.
But when they show up someplace else, they have a breast cancer looks different in your lungs than lung cancer looks in your lungs. There is breast cancer in your lungs.
Yeah.
And that's when they were
That's
like,
what's going
it's
on with me. So mine
metastasized.
metastasized. So it's in my lymphatic system.
Right.
So that's all over your body.
So your lymphatic system is what ports fluid around in your
Right.
body,
Yeah.
which means that like it has a direct
Linked to everything.
link to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. It's all basically in my torso. They're not huge tumors, and they think that I'm going to have a lot of success from the treatment. Right now, currently, I get this really bad rash, which is a concern, and you can die from the rash. So we're hoping that this time, I get my treatment on Tuesday, that it doesn't happen again.
Well, and if it
And
does,
there are a lot
you're
of
a little more
things that you can
prepared,
do to, you're more prepared for it. There are a lot of things that you can do to eliminate that.
Right.
So, it sucks. I feel like
It does.
been an interruption to it's not just an interruption to your family.
Yeah.
It's an interruption to a lifestyle, to a life.
It definitely is, and it can become very all encompassing when you're told that basically terminal. I'm not dying yet, everybody. Like I've probably got a lot of time, pretty sassy. So this cancer kind of chose the wrong person, but I'm not going to give up. But that reality, I think you have to prepare for the worst, but hope for the best.
Right.
So I've been thinking about all that stuff, you know what I mean? And I have children that I want to see them get married and you know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's a tough one. And then my husband's taking it real hard, of course. He's having a rough time with it.
Well.
And then Brandy, who's one of my best friends, she gets a brunt from both of us, poor thing. So, I'm pretty much like, Brandy, you can do whatever you want to. You want to take a trip to Chicago? Let's go. Yeah.
The people who support you unconditionally.
Yeah.
You and I we're not close friends, but we are ancillary friends. We are on
Correct.
but there's nothing that you couldn't ask me for that would be like, I will try.
Right.
I'll fucking try.
I know. I feel that way about you too. Yeah.
And I just, we really are hoping for so much for you.
Yeah.
Like there's got to be something
I
coming.
chose to go public because I wanted to educate people because I thought this would be no big deal as well. So if I thought that, I can imagine what everybody else feels like. So I did go public on my Facebook page, and I'm the annoying one, like, wear sunscreen. If I see somebody on a beach, I message them like, do you have sunscreen? Do you have a shirt? And they're like, yes, yeah, but I want to be that annoying little person in everybody's ear with this because it is preventable.
Well, yeah.
And
I will say, your circle of friends that you have around you, I will say the people that I know, we have all, I have an appointment at the beginning of May.
Yeah.
So everybody that I know that is friends with Kat, we've all made like appointments at dermatologists to go get checked
Yeah, I've been
out.
counting. So I know of 36 people that are getting their skin checked in the next couple months. So
what I'd like for you guys to do is if you go have a full body check, if you go to your dermatologist and check in with us, check in with us online.
Yeah, let us know.
And let us know on Twitter. Twitter's the best place to find us.
Yeah. Well, Mindy.
Yeah, me.
I don't tweet.
Hey, if you have a problem with what's said on Twitter, it's me, not Brandy.
I mean,
Anyway,
you can blame me too.
check in,
I
let
don't
us
tweet.
know because, in all honesty, you are 48. I'm going to be 50. We come from a culture that was sun loving.
Yes.
And we had not radioactive. We had illuminating mats that we would lay on that our parents gave us that were like, this will get you tanner.
I remember the things you would hold in the
Right in
pool
front
out
of
in
your
front of
face.
you to like.
Oh,
remove
not even
shit.
that. There would be like a sheet that you could lay on top of. It would bake you in the fucking sun like a chicken.
correct. She's not wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, if you go get checked, let us know. If you have questions, let us know.
Yes, please.
And we'll keep you updated on Kat's progress and everything too.
Maybe
And we don't want to.
we'll do like a 3-month checkup.
Yeah, so we're not gonna invade her space. You can text message us. You can message us directly.
I also
on Twitter.
am considering getting on TikTok. I know. Can you guys believe this? TikTok, but only because there was a woman in London that did this, and she had melanoma, same stage. Hers was on her thigh.
Yeah.
She did end up dying, unfortunately, but that's how she educated a ton of people.
Yeah,
She was very well known, a lot of followers, and Brandy's going to help me because she's my tech person. With
and
horrible.
Kat is not a shy human being, so
I don't know if you can
I
tell.
feel like she will do very well on a platform like TikTok.
Yeah.
Whereas I would be like, hide my face. I don't want to. Like, this
No,
is
I
okay
feel-
for me.
I
I'm
feel
behind a
like,
microphone because
because there's some funny things.
I record Brandy's boobs on TikTok because that's where the conversation is coming from. And I'm sorry. I try to edit out. It's just boobs.
it's fine.
There's some funny.
I can't point the camera at myself.
And there's some funny aspects too sometimes. Like, it's not all Debbie Downer. Like, for example, some people's reactions have been hilarious. Like, this woman runs up to me, and she's one of my she was a mother from the basketball team for my oldest. And she's like, oh my God, Kat, I heard. I'm like, oh yeah. And she was like, my mom died of that last year. Like, we're like upbeat about it. Like, we're like, oh my, same situation, same placement on her back.
Okay,
I was
so
like, why?
let's talk about this. There is empathy and there is sympathy, but there is not fucking compare your goddamn cancer to me.
Oh no, it's ridiculous. The amount of times she's told me, like, somebody has walked up to her and been like, oh my God, my grandpa had that. He died.
And you're like,
Keep
like,
that
what do you
shit
say
to
to that?
yourself.
yeah. And then you end up comforting them.
Wait,
so,
would you,
like,
would
I'm
you
I'm
walk up to
sorry.
a pregnant woman and be like, my sister died of childbirth last year.
Right.
Congratulations on your
Congratulations.
womb.
Yeah. Congratulations, you're pregnant. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I feel like people think that like cancer is all encompassing. Like it's all the same. It's not all the same.
no, it's not. It's definitely not. I mean, I don't think I ever really thought that. But what I normally would say to people is like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're going through this. Is there, anything I can do? Don't ask people if they're fine, by the way, because we're not.
What do you want to hear?
Let's go through
What
that.
do you want to hear or feel from people?
Okay, so I don't want to hear, are you fine? The one that makes me the most mad is stay positive. Like, that's going to cure me at this point. And I'm not saying don't have a little bit of that.
Keep a good attitude.
Everybody's like, oh, just stay positive. That can, and I'm like, yes, you're correct. And I am. Don't tell me to do it. I'm trying to stay positive. Okay, everybody. I really am. What I like to hear is, I'm really sorry that you're going through this. Is there anything I can do? And then, like, let's laugh about my port that's right here, because it's like...
Oh, yeah. Okay, so you got to tell us about your port, because I find this to be... All right, there's nothing about this that's hilarious, but also you got to find some of the good things, because otherwise you got to laugh a little bit. So they had to put a port in you for your treatment for immunotherapy.
Yes. Yeah, because I'll be in treatments for at least 2 years, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the port is like... a love-hate relationship. Everybody was like, "Oh, you're gonna love it," and so
no, you're just gonna love not getting stuck in a different way.
For anybody who doesn't know what a port is, it's basically like a little plastic thing that they put underneath your skin, and it's like up on her chest.
But it's in your venous system.
Well, right, it's attached to her veins, and like you can see, it kind of goes up to her neck. So that way, when she goes in for a treatment, they can like attach to the port, so that way they don't have to put an IV in your arm every time.
Right. So I mean, it is a convenience. Okay, so there's so many things I can talk about. We could talk a whole podcast on this port. I'm serious. So let me keep it like kind of small. But so I try before the surgery to have some fun. I had a drain coming out of my back, and we named it Luis.
Yeah,
super.
It was this little cup thing.
I met a guy.
Tail. She had a tail.
It was a tail, you guys. I met a guy my first time ever going to Mexico, and his name was Luis, and he was a sassy Latina because he was a woman, but like, it was like
he was Latina.
Yeah. And
he was Latina.
Yeah. And he would make, because he wanted me to call him a he, by the way.
Oh, okay.
He did. Because I asked him that, I'm like, what do I call, and this is back in the day. This
What are your pronouns?
Yeah.
We don't know what your pronouns are.
And so he made all the omelets at this resort we were staying at.
It was omelet.
He was the omelet guy. And he would see me and be like, okay, and he had his little mini skirts on. Actually, really nice legs. But I mean, I was like, why are you more attractive than me? Okay. But so I named my port after Luis because it was sassy. It was a tail, and anyway, so I try to make some jokes and have a little fun with it. So the port, I didn't want to get it. I was worried it was going to be where my bra strap is. And guess what? It's where my bra strap is. and I'm not a woman that can go without a bra.
Titties don't care.
I can put a full shampoo bottle underneath my breast. That's how big. So just to give you some knowledge of how big I am. But so the night before, I was like, I got to name it. So we're going through names. I really like Star Wars. I'm a Star Wars freak. And except for the first three, like why? But anyways,
No, wait. The first three, you mean like I grew up with 4, 5,
like
6.
episodes
4, 5, and 6.
You and I keep thinking you're Brandy's age, but you're my age.
4, 5, and 6 are
4,
amazing.
5, and 6 are fucking
1,
amazing.
2, 1 especially. Why watch that? 2 and 3. Okay, I get the history. I love Rogue One. Okay.
I feel like
are we
you
going to
guys
go down
need to
this?
realize
Are we
this.
going down
No,
this?
wait. I'm going to be 50 in July. You're 40.
48.
48?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you'll be 49 this year in
We're
October.
an entirely different fucking generation than Brandy.
Yeah, that's true.
But she's kind of like us, though.
I collect
Brandy.
older friends.
But I guarantee you, Brandy does not have an affinity for The Empire Strikes Back like
No, she
you
does.
do.
Okay, so here's
Well, she's
the
a
problem.
Marvel. She's a Marvel.
I like Return of the Jedi the most. It's my
Yeah.
favorite.
It's a great
What's
one.
wrong with you?
I like the
Empire's my favorite.
I like the what are the teddy bears called?
Oh, the Ewoks?
Yeah, I like the Ewoks. They're my favorite.
No, I'm Empire
Okay,
with
so
you.
we're going to not talk to Brandy. No, okay, no. I love
So
Ewoks.
anyway,
No, I do like the
can't help
Ewoks.
it.
They're
They're
very
cuddly
cute.
and
Ewoks are unnecessary. Just like that
they're
fucking.
super sassy and they take care of the one like the
No.
thing. They totally attack it. They're the only reason they won at the end.
In a future episode.
The Ewoks
Right.
saved
You're
the day.
fucking wrong.
They're like mini Chewbacca's.
They're weasels. You're wrong.
They're mini Chewbacca's.
They're like possums, really.
They're adorable.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, that's another podcast. Honestly, that's a whole separate thing.
So how are you guys as a family dealing with it? Like how?
Well, let's talk about my. Let me just finish.
okay,
this.
she's
So
got to
my
finish the
port
port because
story,
the port
my bad.
is
So my daughter, my oldest daughter, knows of my affinity for Star Wars. We're looking up names, and I said it should be like a Star Wars reference because I'm going to be with this thing for a while. She's like, "What about Natalie Portman?" And I have mixed feelings about Natalie Portman's acting in general. I think she can be phenomenal, like in Black Swan, amazing, But
No, but have you seen
the Star Wars movies are like, why can't we be back at Naboo
No,
where
but
we
wait.
could love each other when nobody? I mean, I'm like, you aren't acting.
What's the show she did? The movie she did where she had birth in like Walmart.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
I like that
You like
one.
that
The
one?
Hardest Home.
Yeah.
I fucking
Okay.
will watch that every day. Any
No,
day.
I don't know
She was good
why.
in that
I love that
show it.
movie.
But she's right. The episodes 1 through 3 Star Wars, not great.
It was weird. It was like she was like a robot, like la 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 la, la, But anyways, so I was like, okay, Natalie Portman, and then I hear Andy, my wonderful husband, in the room go, hey, and he loves puns, so he's like, this is what you could do, and he's so excited. He runs in the room, and I'm like, okay. He's like, if somebody's like, what is that? You could be like, who, Natalie? And then they're like, yeah, and be like, that's my port, man. So I was like, well, then it's Natalie Portman. I mean, I can't say no to that. That's freaking hilarious. And it works out really well because I have a love-hate relationship with it, and I have a love-hate relationship with Natalie Portman.
So now she's Natalie Portman.
She's Natalie Portman. So that's the whole thing. And let's go back to what you. So how I handled it with my family, or with my kids especially, we've been very transparent with them. They know everything. Now, some people don't agree with me on that. I had a friend who had terminal breast cancer that never told her kids. So when she died, it was this big shocker.
Yeah.
And my mother died when I was 17, very shocking. So I did not want to do that to my kids.
But
Okay.
you're speaking about your mom. You telescoping forward, not telescoping forward, looking back. If you would have been 20 years older, you would have seen something about your mom that would have led you to, but it
Yeah.
doesn't matter because as a child, your mom was here. You didn't expect shit to be happening with your mom.
Right.
You thought everything was normal. Mm-hmm. And then I don't want to take you into that. But
Right.
you thought everything was normal and then mom was not here.
Correct. And so what we originally told them all at the same time with the original diagnosis. And then we later, when I got the stage 4 diagnosis, we told my older daughters first because they were way more emotional. Emmy, my oldest, got really angry. So these were the stages. Real angry, slams doors. She got nasty to me for a while. She wouldn't look at my back. She refused to look at my back.
Yeah.
Like you were doing something wrong, but it's just
Well, no,
it's
I
a
just think she
but
hates the
it's a
cancer.
teenage thing.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
She's 14, everybody. So
She also has a
done this
boyfriend
to
and it's a
us.
whole thing.
Yeah.
And so
right. And then my 12-year-old is way more emotional. She's my mini me. She's cried a lot. She got real clingy, which is fine, and I just she slept with me for a while in bed. She didn't want to be in her bed alone. And that she's kind of settled down a little bit, but she is the one that cries about it. My son, who's 8 and hilarious, by the way.
I love her son.
He's so great. His name is Finn.
He's my Lego buddy.
We told him about the stage 4 cancer separately. And he's like, okay. And runs out the room, go and play with Legos and stuff. And then 2 days later, I'm in my kitchen and he goes, hey, Mom. And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, if you die, can you tell Dad how to make my sandwiches? And now the peanut butter jelly ratio, you guys, is important. Okay. So I was with him on that. I was like, okay, will do, buddy. Will do. I wasn't offended, but that is an 8-year-old mind. Right. And then I got a call from his teacher and I'm thinking, he's just not really thinking about it. I got a call from his teacher about 2 weeks ago and they had all gone out to recess and he was standing in the doorway. Oh, I cry on this one. Sorry. And she said, Finn, and all the teachers know. We told all of the therapists at the school. They all know. They've been checking in with my kids. The schools have been great. Okay. So he's standing in the doorway and she's like, you can go out. And he's like, I think my mom's going to die of cancer. And she's like, okay, we're doing this.
Oh.
Okay. And she brought him in and she was like, you know what? We don't know yet, buddy. And sometimes, and she handled it perfect. She called me. She's like, are you okay? I'm like, yes, no, 100. I love Mrs. Bell, best teacher in the world. So yeah, she had to kind of handle it from there. And then he said a couple things to me. If I'm not feeling good, he'll be like, that damn cancer, and walk out of the room. Like
Finn is, I don't know Finn very well, but what I've seen online of Finn is that Finn is like a 1930s actor where he was like such a throwback where he was like, well, we're going to get that cancer and there's going to be something else that's going to happen.
Like a fake cigarette in his hand. Yeah. I'm the PTO president. I don't want to brag at his school, but that's what I do. So I pulled up one day to drop something off and he was sitting by himself on a bench on recess with his legs crossed and the kids were trying to get him to play and you could tell he was like secretly judging them. Like he was like, whatever. I'm thinking, right, leave me alone. Like I was like, what is this kid doing? Where did he come from?
He just needed some breadcrumbs to throw to the birds.
As adults, we should all. So John Mulaney is coming to Schuster, and I feel like
I love John Mulaney.
We should all join them because I think Finn is a tiny John
Mulaney. Yes,
we need to learn how to parent him from John Mulaney.
Yeah, I should have a separate meeting with him and be like, what do I do? Yeah. So anyways, that's how, and I've also been looking into other therapies. And my husband and I are going to see cancer. We call our cancer therapist. And then there's a group setting that we're going to start in 2 weeks with other people with stage 4 cancer. Because for me, personally, it's hard because a lot of people don't really understand what I'm going through. Like when I go shopping, say I go grocery shopping, I have to go home and take a nap after that. Yeah. I'm a 48-year-old woman that used to run marathons and now I'm so freaking tired, because my body's fighting this battle. So it's different. And then,
well, and I feel like it's hard for people too to see you out because it's like people that know you're sick. It's like they have this mental idea of what it means for you to be in bed, right? And I mean, but I feel like ever since you started treatment, which honestly has only been like 2.5 weeks now,
right?
But I feel like it's been like a roller coaster almost because like you'll have really good days where you feel really good,
right,
and then you'll have really crappy days where you're just really tired and feel really sick and feel awful.
The sleeping is a lot.
So people should ask what you want.
Right.
As opposed to.
So let me tell you what I have received that I don't want. Okay. That's important.
Right.
Flowers, real ones. I kill them. I don't want them. They're all over my house.
They just die.
Right. They just die. I get a lot of cards, which are nice.
We don't need a recognition of things that fucking die.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm not maybe somebody who's a gardener would appreciate that, but I just don't.
Well, I mean, honestly, flowers that you send to somebody, they're meant to die anyway. They're not going to live forever.
Right.
So they're just things that are dying in your house.
Congratulations or best wishes.
Yeah. Sorry you're dying. You know what I mean? Like
they have some flowers that are going to die.
I'd actually prefer that card. I'd be like, this person knows me. Okay. Thank you for being obvious. But, and then I got a bunch of just random stuff like coloring books. I guess just kind of know the patient a little bit, which is hard. Of course, people aren't going to know me personally. I can't use any of this stuff. I'm not an artist. I don't color. It doesn't make me feel better.
You're not a crafty person.
I'm not a crafty person.
No.
So cards are great. I personally like the cards because I read all of them. I got a couple blankets that people made, which I thought was very amazing. I mean, they're just gorgeous blankets. And then my company, I'm on short-term disability. Okay, they nailed it. They got me a blanket made with lightsabers, like crossed, and at the bottom it says "May the Force be with you, Cat." Aww. And I'm like, yeah. They knew their audience here. You know, my whole cube at work is Star Wars, though, so you'd have to be kind of stupid not to like realize, you know what I mean. And they send me cards every week. I get cards from them every single week. And let me think. Food, the meal train has been great. Brandy put together a meal train. We did find out during the surgery that every day was too much, so we did like an every 2 days, which is a lot more manageable.
People are like probably bringing you food for 20.
Correct. My refrigerator was packed and you don't want to get rid of it because you're like, oh, I feel so bad, but I can't eat this casserole. So, you're like tossing all this stuff.
Well, and
then I'm not really hungry.
And then you have, and you're like, your appetite goes in and out. And out. And then you have a gluten-free child too.
I have a gluten-free child.
Some things she just can't eat. And,
right. Exactly. So. What would be really great is gift cards.
Yeah.
So if you want to do food or
fucking DoorDash, anything.
Yes.
It's not.
And Mia's basketball team, God bless them.
They went grocery shopping.
For us. And so we couldn't use half of what we got because they don't know our family and our needs. But it was so sweet. So of course we kept everything, but we were like, okay, we can't eat. I made a box for my friend to take back home to Columbus because we can't eat the pasta. We can't eat, because of Mia. So, but their heart is in the right place. That's the thing. Like, I feel like I'm being kind of mean saying this.
No, you're not. I mean,
but also having an overabundance of stuff that you don't want to have to deal with in your house is more trouble than it is helpful.
Having an appreciation and having a need is completely different.
Another thing that to me, because my love language is quality time, I would love visits. Now, granted, if it's a good day, you know what I mean?
Right.
But just people talking to me and seeming to make me laugh, and you know what I mean? I think you guys had Laura Blake on here before. Mm-hmm. She's hilarious and she just cracks me up for hours, and that to me is way more important. It's that quality time with people, and those are the memories that everybody's going to remember,
Yeah.
I feel like some people are, because of your circumstance, are going to feel like they're more attached to you than you are to them.
Yeah.
Like, does it matter? Or are you like, you know what? Like, at this point, the support is the support.
No, that's good. That part is wonderful. And this community has been amazing. Brandy and I are going to try to put together a 5K run walk in Miamisburg with the Melanoma Association. We don't know if we're going to do it fall or spring. I want to be well enough to do it. So that's my biggest concern. I hope I'm well enough in a year to do it. And we're going to have like different booths for like, skincare, clothing, local dermatologist there to answer questions or, look at something weird on his arm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So, of course, we're in the beginning stages of all that. But the community's been great. What bothers me the most is when I'm out having a glass of wine and then somebody walks in and is like, why are you here? Aren't you sick? Which, yes, I am, but I'm having a glass of wine tonight and I feel good today, but they don't understand that. But I feel like the good outweighs the bad with that. I went public to educate people on this.
Right.
And I think that outweighs all of those other little comments, so it's not terrible.
Yeah.
I feel like,
Yep.
yeah. God damn, it's my own podcast. I don't know how to fucking approach the microphone.
You just keep moving the mic.
I just keep trying to turn it sideways because I want to lean. Has it been? I don't know what I want to say. I know what I want to say, but it sounds like I'm being an asshole.
Just say it, dude.
Has it been hard with people making cancer to be your personality because cancer is not your personality?
That has not been my problem. I think because a lot of people knew me before the cancer and, I was very community driven. I was involved with stuff. Andy and I joke because Andy's from here, born and raised. I'm not. I call myself a placement, right, Brandy? We're placements.
Yep.
And when we first moved here, nobody knew me. And then we were walking through Ron's like a year ago, and everybody was saying hi to me, not him. And he's like, "When did this happen?" I'm like, "Yeah, everybody knows me, man. You know, relax."
I mean, that's the
I'm
thing.
pretty cool. Okay.
You're boisterous. Is that the right word?
Yes.
I think that's the right word. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
And sometimes people hate me, and I get that.
And
but-
you know what? But that's, I mean, people know you though. Like there's nobody that hangs out in places where you're around or hang out or whatever. I mean, like you said earlier, you're the president of the PTO at your son's elementary
there,
school.
and then also the middle school,
And then
for a
also
while.
the middle school, like you were the president of the PTA there. Like, I mean, you get involved in a lot of things, and you've got 3 kids that go through the school system. And so there's a lot of things that you're involved in, and especially downtown and stuff too. So,
Yeah.
So I think, you've kind of,
I don't think cancer is my identity, but I, on a personal level, feel like I have to find a balance because it's so all encompassing for me. That's what I'm thinking about, like 24/7, really.
Right.
yeah,
And that's where I need to figure that out. So I'm
Yeah.
still in the beginning stages of that.
finding a distraction where
Right.
you're not.
I mean, Brandy,
constantly-
you and I can sit there all night and talk about this. And then I realized we just sat there and fucking talked about my cancer the whole time. Sorry, I just cussed. I just said that word.
We're an explicit podcast. I
Okay.
cuss all the time, so you're more than welcome to keep doing
Fucking,
that.
fucking do it. Let's just fucking do it.
Fuck.
Let's be real. But I remember like going to bed thinking, I just talked to Brandy for 3.5 hours about melanoma. Like she's got to be like, you know what I mean? She's like, fine, I'll get my
But
skin
you know
checked.
what? Your anxiety is warranted, and I feel like people who have an acute and or chronic issue get tricked into this mindset that is like, you should get over it. Like, why should
That
you
hasn't happened
be
to me
that
yet, but I think it's
person?
coming.
But I feel like,
Yeah.
like there's an
Like a year from now, they're
there's
gonna
an
be like-
exhaustiveness about it.
I mean, you're going to end up living for the next 20 years, and people are going to be like, "All right, we get it already."
You have cancer, but you're still alive. What's wrong with you? That's what we're hoping for.
I mean, yeah, let's hope we get to that point.
Yeah. I'll be like, I'm just here to annoy you about your skin.
Oh, God love you.
Forever.
My dad. This sounds so bad. My dad cornered me at one point in time because I was like, we are all on the same playing field. First of all, know where your position is. Don't fucking tell Kat what her position is.
Yeah.
This is where I'm going to, because I've been a cancer, what do you call it? Cancer parallel person.
So someone in your life had cancer? Is that
People,
what?
yeah, people would tell my dad about certain shit, and I'm like, fucking stop telling him that shit.
Yeah.
And then my dad was like, I would like to get a Hemi Hellcat Charger, and I was like, I would not get a 72-month loan on that.
Well,
And I felt like an asshole, and he was like, "What do you mean by that?" And I was like,
You
bitch.
have cancer.
I loved my dad, but I was like, you are 75, 74 years old. You have multiple myeloma. There are certain things that you have going on.
Yeah.
My dad did not have the life expectancy that like he thought he would have before cancer.
Right.
And I, as a medical personnel, was like, I want to involve myself in how we're going to advocate this for Kat for just this explanatory. It's wrong.
Yeah, that works.
Anyway,
It sounds good though.
Yeah.
here's what happened with my dad. I knew what my dad had happening. And my dad was like, should I get a car loan? And I was like, no, I wouldn't fucking get a car loan. I sure as shit wouldn't get a 72-month car loan. And that was in my head. In all honesty, if shit happens to me, that's my sense of humor. And if people were to approach me that way, I'd be like, got you. However, my dad knew. I didn't realize until after that he was like unaware of his circumstance.
Right.
So don't fucking look up somebody's possibilities.
Don't Google it,
And
everybody.
present them to them because those are just averages. Those are things that will happen. My dad had a lot of things that happened when he got cancer where it wasn't going to last as long as it could last.
Right. And the patient kind of feels that.
Right.
I'm not going to lie. I mean, I definitely feel a little bit of that, not to be Debbie Downer, and what bothers me is when I had a woman walk up to me the other day and she's one of those like real type A personalities. Like you're going to beat this and stay positive.
We're
and
gonna
blah, blah,
fucking
blah.
program
And then
manage
I
this
told
out
her,
of you.
I said, well, I am in palliative care, and she's in the medical industry. And she goes, you're not in palliative care. And I'm like, don't
Don't
tell me what I am. That really. And she kept saying it. And finally I was like, I'm in palliative care and you need to stop telling me that. And then she was like, oh, but in her mind, in her type A mind, she was trying to help. You know what I mean?
Trying to be
But
positive
let's
and put a
explain
positive
what
spin
that
on it.
means. What does palliative care mean to you?
Palliative care means that they're keeping me alive at this point because this is an aggressively spread. Once it spreads, it's aggressive. Everything I've read, everything the doctors have told me. Sorry, Brandy. Yeah. So it's very aggressive. It loves to go into the brain. Most likely will end up with something sometime in my brain just because it does that and they can't treat with chemo or immunotherapy in the brain. So typically when people die of melanoma, it's either brain related or it's just spread so much that, and most of the tumors are inoperable anyways. In my case, they used to surgically remove all of them. And then what they have found was people weren't well enough to get treated, so they just die. So now what they do is they stop that and they just want to keep them from growing. That's kind of the goal.
Which sucks because you have to live with the tumors
I have to live
inside
with the
of
tumors,
you, but at the
and-
same time, they're stopping them from growing and progressing.
Right. That's obviously the goal. So palliative care is there the first 13 weeks. I am on the 2 drugs. And then I go on, if that works, I go on what's called a maintenance one for 2 years. And I can only be on it for 2 years. And it's just like they want to prolong my life. So I'm not going to get cured of this ever. I will have this forever. Now, could that mean like Jimmy Carter has it and he's still building houses for Habitat for Humanity? I mean, he's kicking it.
Yeah.
Some people react very well to the treatments. They do very well. Then there are people that don't. So here's the numbers on that, everybody. Every doctor's appointment is phenomenal.
You should stay away from Google if any of this happens from you.
Yes. This is not from Google. This is from my doctor's mouth. So 50% of the people, it does not work.
The first treatment or the whole treatment?
All of it.
All of it. Okay.
Okay. So 50% of the people it does not work. Then there's 14% it works 100% of the time. Like it's like Jimmy Carter, building houses and stuff.
Yeah.
Then you've got that weird 16% that it works like half.
Okay.
And so that can prolong your life too.
Okay.
Right. So
Yeah.
I don't know where I sit yet with
So you
any
may
of
not
this.
be the healthiest person, but you'll live longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My friend who had breast cancer I was talking about earlier, who died of it, she lived 15 years with that.
Yeah.
Because she was in that weird spot where she could just take this pill every day and it was keeping her alive.
Yeah.
She was palliative care as well.
Okay.
So that's kind of what I'm doing. I will die eventually. Well, we all will.
We all will, but yeah.
I will most likely die of this eventually.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the toughest pill to swallow. Get that? No. Okay. That's the toughest thing to swallow.
love you.
Yeah. And then it's like you're marching against time, right? So then what we've talked about, my husband and I, again, to be another Debbie Downer for all of you, but if it doesn't work and I'm in that 50% and then we try something else and we've exhausted all avenues, I will get this damn port out. That's the first thing I'm doing. And I'm going to live my life. And I'm going to travel and be around everybody and die of it,
I admire that. I admire that because at some point you're going to have to decide.
Yep.
Do you pull the kids out of everything and are like, we're just going to do the
We've
thing?
thought about that. We've thought about just like, getting an old school bus and like turning it into a house and like,
what? Their fucking education will not, your children are smart. Their fucking education will not be edified by spending more time in the system.
Correct. Yeah.
Do you just take them where you go?
Exactly.
Do you want to go to fucking Europe? Do you want to go to fucking
right?
Whatever you want to do you do that?
Right. I mean, Brandy's taking me to see Lady Gaga.
Oh, goddamn.
That's a dream right there. And Jane, my other boss at the wine shop, is taking me to see Backstreet Boys. Yes, I'm a Gen Xer. And she wrote them a letter. Because guys, listen, there's a positive. There's a positive. When you have stage 4 cancer, we call it the cancer card. And you can be like, by the way, I have cancer. You know what I mean? That sounds terrible.
Here's what we're going to talk about.
That's a whole nother podcast.
You know what though? You and I are. I have talked about this before, but you and I are ancillary friends, and which means that like we circulate in a system where Brandy is the
Brandy's
fucking
our
universe.
How we know each other, basically. Well,
right.
In the brewery too. I mean, I met you
the
before.
brewery, too.
Yeah.
But goddamn, I wish nothing but the best for you. It
appreciate
hurts
that.
my heart, but it's not about me. It's about you. And I was like,
Right.
what can I do? But
yeah,
you know
well,
what?
this is what you could do because I want to educate people on this because I was clueless.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I was like the most clueless person about, skin cancer.
Had you known in advance what it might be, would you have stepped into an office sooner?
Absolutely. 100%. And what's crazy about this is my mom did have skin cancer, but she died when I was 17. I never knew the story. Melanoma is hereditary. So it could have been melanoma. I don't know.
Yeah.
And her side of the family, everybody passed away. So I didn't know my history on that side. So that's important, knowing your history, getting early detection. That's why get to a dermatologist. I don't care if you don't even have a mole on your body. Sometimes they don't look like moles.
Yeah.
You know, they look like red rings or just different. So
if you see something unusual on your skin, or if somebody has pointed out the fact that like that doesn't look right, you should
Get it checked.
See a person.
yeah, I was at the bank the other day, and I know a guy that works there, Jason. He used to work here at the brewery. So we're at the brewery. And he has this, it looks like squamous, like it's raised, and he just had gotten his hair cut. And I'm just staring it down, like I'm going to like laser eye, remove it from his head. And he's looking at me. He's like, what are you looking at? I was like, you're going to go get that checked, right? And he knows my situation. And he goes, yeah. And I'm like, no, you need to go get checked like right now.
Right.
You did the exact same thing I did.
Yeah.
Like that is definitely not, and it was all raised and everything. Like, so was it like in the later stages, you know? And I said, oh gosh, and get it checked.
Yeah.
And he said he was going to, but yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's my goal. This is what you can do for me. Okay. Is letting me do this today. I appreciate it
really
so
just
much.
stopped my entire leg from bouncing.
Well, it's not that. It's
my anxiety is through the fucking roof. I know.
My legs are bouncing hardcore because I got to pee really bad.
yeah.
Yeah, that too.
Well, and both of you, thank you so much for letting me come on here and tell my story and educate people. This is going to just be amazing. I'm going to resonate with somebody. If I can help one person, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, not go through what I'm going through.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and sharing your story. And honestly, Kat, stay positive.
Oh, yes.
And you will be
We're gonna stay there for you. We're gonna
I need to get a t-shirt that says, I am staying positive.
There's going to be a bunch of people that we will reach out to on our channels, and we want you to talk to Kat, talk to us, talk to whatever you want to. You can find us at DBBL_podcast. God damn it. I do this for
All right.
not a
Instagram and
living.
Twitter. You can find us at DBBL_podcast, Facebook, YouTube, DBL Podcast, and our website, DBLpodcast.com. Or you can email us always at DBBLpodcast@gmail.com.
Go get your fucking body scan.
That's
Do
right.
it.
Go get checked.
Please.
We love all of you. We want to
But
hear
on
from
top of
you.
that,
Thank you so much. We're out of drinks and I got to
love
pee.
you all.
So,
So
love you.
cheers.
Cheers. Cheers. Thank you.
And now we're recording.
All right.
Oh, I got to silence my phone. Oh, I already did that.
Probably do that.
Cool.
Yeah, we're professionals. We record on a regular basis as if we are professionals.
I can add that in.
I gotta pee so bad.